Welcome to the Grumpy Guy BJJ podcast with your hosts James Wilson and Rob Eichhoff. We are here making friends and solving problems one podcast at a time.
All right, so welcome to episode 10. We're on number 10, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
Yes, episode 10 of the Grumpy Guy BJJ podcast. I'm your co-host, James Wilson, with Rob Eichhoff here.
Yo, what's up, James?
Oh, man, not much, man. We've been just sitting here chatting a little bit, getting ready for the show, feeding Snakey as usual. It's kind of the tradition now when you come over. We'll throw a few fish in Snakey's bowl and watch him munch a few and then record the show. It's always good inspiration for a jiu-jitsu podcast, watching a snake do its work.
Oh, you just jacked another one.
Jacked another one. Oh, we swallowed him quick. That was a small one. Anyways, we've had a suggestion from from Z, one of my son, to do a whole episode on Snakey, but we'll spare everybody that one. Yeah. So when we say like make show requests, we won't necessarily take them all seriously, especially if they're coming from a 4-year-old. But so anyways, so we've got a subject on tap today, which is advice for people getting back into jiu-jitsu or into jiu-jitsu. Again, kind of the New Year's theme. This is the second week of January. So, we know how it goes. A lot of people set that New Year's resolution. This is gonna be the year either they start or they get back into it, which is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about when we get more into it, which is people who've had a layoff and they're getting back into it, which is kind of different than like your typical white belt starting. But there's a lot of people getting into it because of New Year's resolutions. So we see a bunch of new faces in the gym, and we know that after a couple of months, there's a lot fewer new faces in the gym, unfortunately. And so what we're wanting to do in this podcast is just give some people advice for that. But as per usual, we got some pre-show notes before we jump into the jiu-jitsu stuff, man. So I don't know, you got anything on your pre-show
I got
stuff?
a few things. First of all, we're doing this on Friday morning. The Abu Dhabi Grand Slam kicked off today.
Oh, yeah?
The matches actually took place at like 2 o'clock in the morning our time.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe a little bit later, but it was, just the time difference.
What did they show that on?
Flow grappling.
Flow grappling?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. I tried to log in this morning when I first woke up, and I kind of caught the tail end of a match or two, and then I had some shit to do before I headed over here, but yeah, so that's going. I think it's 2 days. I think it's just today and tomorrow, I believe. But dude, there's some killer matches lined up. And I was looking at some of the brackets, like the 2 lightest weight classes, maybe even the 3. There's a GFT guy. I mean, in the running. In the
nice.
I think in the lower 2 weight classes, which is pretty awesome. I forget the names off the top of my head. I'm a little foggy this morning. I need some more caffeine, but there should be some good matches worth watching this weekend, man.
Nice, man.
Fuck yeah! So
cool. Well, that's always exciting to have some good.
It's kind of the unofficial kickoff to the gi season is kind of the deal.
Yeah.
And on that note, that's pretty cool that IBJJS coming to Denver.
Yes. Yeah.
You put your name in that hat yet?
I haven't signed up yet, but it's just.
I think the registration open yet? Just a few days ago,
man.
They had it listed on their website, but it was still grayed out. Like you couldn't click on it and register for it. But I think I saw that they confirmed the venue.
I'm sure Kevin will start letting us know.
So
start ribbing people to sign up. But I
cool
saw that. I just
cool
found out about it a few
Denver,
days ago. Yeah, no, that'll be fun. It'll be fun. So
it's April, I believe, like April 20th, 21st or something like that. 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, you doing that one?
Fuck, you have to, man. I think I have to.
You have to?
I got that. Made sure I got that Friday off. So
I guess so.
Got to, man.
All right, well.
I think it's the first time IBJJS I've been in Denver. So I'd be bummed if I didn't go do it,
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll have to do it.
Fuck it.
April. Team Grumpy Guy.
Yep.
Making an appearance.
Let's go, man.
Let's go. Right on. Well, yeah, that'll be fun. So got some good grappling on tap for the weekend and competition coming up.
Yep.
So, well, cool.
That's one of them.
One of them.
Do you want to talk about... Well, let me ask you this question first.
Okay.
That way we can either kick things off in a very uncomfortable manner
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Do you always start conversations this way?
Yes, I do. Hey, I was thinking about this question. I wanted to ask you because it could either, depending on how you answer it, we could be sharing a very special moment in our friendship, or we could be sharing a very uncomfortable moment in our friendship.
Oh no! Live on the semi-live on the air.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Guess we can go back and edit.
I want to put you on the spot, James.
Good.
So back in our episode of lessons learned in 2017.
Yes.
One of your lessons that you said, I think you said this, or maybe I just cheated and looked at your notes. Either way, I got the information somehow. Somehow. You said that you learned a lesson that you should be working with people that you really like.
Yeah, working with people I enjoy.
You're working with people you enjoy. And we started doing this Grumpy Guy thing back in October, roughly.
Yeah.
I think. So then I started thinking, I was like, well, shit, that's really a good thing or a bad? He learned that lesson because he liked working with me, and we're moving, or the complete opposite.
That's how I learned my lesson.
That's how you learned your lesson. Like, fuck, I really need to choose the people I work
working with this dickhead.
And so I was a little concerned, man. So I wanted to ask this question.
No, man. No, that's why.
It's a fair question.
It's a funny question. It's not necessarily fair because you know the answer, man. No. Like a lot of it. I didn't want to go into a whole lot of detail necessarily with it, but just a big mindset shift for me from mountain biking to jiu-jitsu. And for me, I really struggled for the last couple of years because my identity for a long time was Bike James. And that's, who I was, and I was a mountain biker, and I was pretty well known in the, some mountain biking circles and stuff. And so when I got into jiu-jitsu, and the more I got into jiu-jitsu, the more I started to realize that I really enjoy jiu-jitsu people a lot more than mountain biking people. And I enjoy jiu-jitsu more than mountain biking on some levels. I still love mountain biking, but I have this little analogy or whatever that I use where it's like, if I was told, okay, you got a chance to go to 1 of 2 parties, and you don't know anybody at the party, and one of them is jiu-jitsu people and one of them is mountain biking people, which one would you go to? And like all day long, I would go to the jiu-jitsu party. Like I wouldn't even like hesitate or think twice about which one I would go to, because I know that I would be able to find people that I could connect with on my level a lot easier with jiu-jitsu people than mountain biking people. And mountain biking people they're kind of an extension of cycling, and I felt like I was always kind of a little bit of an outsider of the mountain biking world, because I always approached mountain biking like a martial art. I always thought that your mindset and how you approach your training and progressively working on things and systematically trying to pick apart your weaknesses and working on them. And that's just not necessarily how a lot of cyclists look at stuff. It's very easy to blame your performance on equipment and stuff like that. So anyways, man, it's been a struggle over the last couple years just with my letting kind of the Bike James identity go and being okay with it and just embracing like, man, you're a jiu-jitsu guy now, and you don't have to keep focusing on working with a market that you don't necessarily enjoy working with as much. And you can, because of the bike pedal, that's allowed me to, and the bike pedal kind of goes across a lot of different things. It's not just mountain biking. There's BMX, there's triathletes, there's fitness. There's a lot of different avenues for the bike pedal that, people that I can interact with and pursue with that. But so anyways, that's kind of more what it was. I didn't want to go into it too much, but on mainly time wise and whatever. I don't want to beat up mountain bikers too bad, because there's a lot of good mountain bikers out there. I think that the problem with mountain biking is that it's like I saw the same problem in the fitness industry, right? Like in the fitness industry, what's the problem with the fitness industry? Supplements. Right? Like everybody gets confused because the supplements pay for so much stuff. And so, you think that the answer why you're not gaining weight, well, you're not taking the right supplement, you're not doing the right pro hormone, you're not doing the right, stacking of this and that. And so, I fell into it. We've had this conversation about how we were both recovering supplement addicts. And so I guess just kind of seeing it coming from the fitness world first, where, I used to write for, different magazines and websites. And so I kind of got to see, like one time I got a writing assignment, literally they called me like, hey, there's this new supplement coming out. You don't get to try it. You don't get to see it. We just want you to write an article praising it. And I was like, what? Like, seriously? Like, that's how this stuff goes. And And same thing, I see the same thing in the cycling industry where, bike parts are like the supplements, and then they pay for the websites and the magazines. Like that's where all the advertising dollars come from. And so you see it, it's just real easy for people to get distracted from what really matters to help them get better, which is them, not necessarily a new bike part and stuff like that. So yeah, there you go, man. It actually, Grumpy Guy is what inspired me to just kind of like let Bike James go, because I was having so much fun doing the Grumpy Guy podcast that I was like, man, I'm just gonna like focus on this and just see where this goes, instead of continuing to focus on people that I don't necessarily enjoy working with as much. So again, I apologize if you're a mountain biker. I think if you're a mountain biker and you do jiu-jitsu, we would get along just fine. Like you probably know what I'm talking about. If you do mountain biking and jiu-jitsu, you instinctively see the same things and probably have the same kind of problems with your average mountain biker that I do. But yeah, man, I've said for years actually that I love mountain biking, but I don't necessarily like mountain bikers. So there you go. I'm just kind of coming out of the closet now.
That's good. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I kind of knew the answer going into that question, and sometimes I'll ask questions just to help get an answer to help pad my little fragile ego.
Yeah. I know you did, man.
I needed a little ego boost this morning, so I was like, let's throw this question out to James. Make me feel better about myself. Get started for the day.
Hell yeah, man. No, that's
good.
That's it, man. I felt like I really found my tribe and my family when I found jiu-jitsu. I was like, these are the people that I have been looking for from the beginning. And if I had found jiu-jitsu at 24 instead of mountain biking, like I probably would have gravitated towards it and been doing it since 24. I got into mountain biking, and again, mountain biking is super fun. I mean, it is a blast, and you can really, especially the free ride downhill stuff that I was doing. I mean, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of ability to control your nerves and your mind and stuff. And so there was a lot of challenges and a lot of fun, man. I had one when I lived in Hawaii. I had a mountain bike all the time, and we had some surfer dudes who would mountain bike with us, and they would call it like dirt surfing. And they'd be like, man, it's always 6 feet and glassy on the trail, bro. So when it's blown out, surfing, we can always come up here and do some dirt surfing. And so it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. But the culture that mountain biking's in is just horseshit. So it's just driven by the wrong forces, and so caters to the weak, in my opinion. So there you go. Right. Jiu-jitsu weeds out the weak.
It does.
So,
not
necessarily weak physically, like weak-minded.
The type of person that sticks with jiu-jitsu for a long time generally is a pretty good dude or gal.
Yeah, man. Your mind has to be in just a certain space, and you just have to see things a certain way. Again, you find your exceptions, but by and large, for the most part, if you're going to be doing jiu-jitsu for a long period of time, you either had it or you somehow figure it out. And that there's just something about that attitude and outlook on life and stuff that I really appreciate and relate to. So that's why the jiu-jitsu tribe's become my tribe for sure, man.
It's a good tribe.
It is a good tribe. So yeah. So there you go. That'll answer your question. So. Cool, man.
I got a couple other pre-show things, but have at it.
Okay, I got a few things here. Yeah. So one, I just wanted to touch on, because these aren't in any particular order, but we did put together a list of top 10 BJJ mistakes, and not necessarily going to go into it here because some of the things we've covered a lot in other episodes, but we've got that on our Facebook page that people can check out, and we've also made our side control basics workshop that we did available for free. And so we were kicking around the idea of charging for it. We decided we could help more people and get more out of it by making it available for free and getting people's feedback on it, and just kind of getting some helping people out that way with it. So again, you can check out the Facebook page for the top 10 BJJ mistakes, and you can sign up for our podcast updates, and we'll send you the top 10 mistakes, the side control workshop, and our ramping ISOs and tempo training workout. So it's kind of a little BJJ improvement starter kit that we put together for everybody. So, yeah.
And it's pretty sweet. And it fits well with what we're talking about today for getting back into it. Mm-hmm. Even if you've done jiu-jitsu for a long time and you had this hiatus, whether it was injury or whatever, man, go sign up for that. And that workout, the mistakes, and what was the other thing?
The workshop.
The side control workshop. Those 3 things are, and it's free, man. Just type your email in, you get some good stuff out of that right there. It's pretty badass.
And we did the workshop, like we specifically went over principles instead of specific movements. We covered some movements, but we explained like how they're applying the principles. Like, here's the principles. Okay, here's a specific movement. Here's how it's working. And we kept it short. Like, that was the other thing, is we specifically wanted to be a collection of pretty short videos so that people could watch them relatively quickly and get something out of it and be able to go apply it to the mat. And so I think we've talked about this before. There's a place for them, but I think we all grow a little weary of the 50 different techniques from this position where you come out of it and your mind's just like, whoa, like it takes so much time. You almost got to like block off an afternoon to watch the DVD because it's so damn long, and then you come out of it and you can barely remember like 2 or 3 things out of it. So again, there's time and place for that, but I think we did a good job with trying to develop.
Yeah, it's short and sweet to the point. Yeah, I
it's
think,
like what we would want.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's 7 videos or something.
7
videos, and I think the first 5 are all just a couple minutes apiece. And the only reason the last 2 are longer is because that's actually more of a follow along mobility sequence. Which is really cool. And so we went over you led the charge on that. But mobility stuff to help with the principles of maintaining side control, and you can follow right along with it.
Yeah,
and we did have to split it in 2 only for the reason YouTube just keeps screwing us, man. YouTube hates me.
They love Bike James.
It's only an 18-minute video. But they said I couldn't upload anything over 15 minutes for some reason, so I broke it in 2. So that is the reason why that last.
I know. We tried to verify and all that.
I tried to jump through all the hoops, and they said no. So
So, anyways, but no, it's pretty cool. I was looking at it, and like I said, I thought it was we did a pretty good job on it. Not like there's obviously things we can improve on. That's kind of one of the reasons we want to let people have it, so that we could get some feedback on it. See, like, hey, is it helping? What do we do good? What could we do better? So go sign up, download that. If you're already on our podcast updates, I sent that out yesterday. And so if you didn't get that in the newsletter, you can hit us up at Grumpy Guy BJJ @gmail.com, and we'll send that to you. So there you go.
Let us know what you think. If you guys go check it out.
Yeah, please.
Shoot, for sure. Send us an email.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Whatever, man. Just let us know.
Yeah.
'Cause, we're learning and growing as we go with this too. So.
Yep.
And I'm not... let me see. How do I put this? I have a lot of learning and growing to do with this stuff, man.
Yeah.
So I know there's plenty of room for improvement.
Yeah.
So any suggestions?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here to help. I mean, that's the thing. So I think that's kind of what drives both of us to do this, is like we want to help other people through our experiences and the things that we've learned. And so, we're just trying to figure out the best ways to help people with the stuff we're putting out there. So any feedback would be appreciated. So anyway, now that we've talked about that, sign up for that. We did the kids tournament yesterday, which was a lot of fun at the our facility. The in-house kids tournament, yes. And so we talked about it a little bit before, but that's always fun. If you've never seen a kids tournament, it's really interesting, man. It's really it's fun. The kids, I don't know how to put it, man. There's a lot of spirit. You see the good, the bad. It's really it's cool to see. There's not a lot of venues where kids can grapple like that. You know what I mean? Go like that. Yeah. Like, and so there's kids crying, and your instinct is like, you want to jump in there and be like, oh, it's okay, and it stopped the match, but you realize, like, man, this is good. Like, they need this. They're going to learn that they're not going to die, that they're going to come out of this and be okay, that, kids growing and doing better, who started out not being able to do anything, and now they can go out and they see themselves improving. And so yeah, the kids, it's a different thing for sure. You don't see a shit ton of high level jiu-jitsu going on, especially with the younger kids. It's a lot of aggressive cuddling here and there.
But they get after it.
Yeah,
and it is. It's funny. I guess it's almost like primal, man. They
instinctively get it.
So some kids do. I mean, not all kids can flip the switch, but there's a lot of little kids that can flip that switch, and that I think that's why it becomes emotional. So because they're trying so hard at something. I mean, because if you guys have ever coached kids at a tournament or watched an in-house tournament like this, the likelihood of the kid that loses crying is very high.
Yeah.
And especially at the younger ages.
Or even just getting frustrated, man. Like somebody's on top of you and you just can't get them off.
You see it. I see it all the time. And I think it's a learning thing for some kids are better at it than others. And even if they do cry, it's not bad. Just because it's emotional. They're out there putting their little hearts and souls into it,
or getting frustrated, but it's fun. But like I said, there's so many, like they're, banning dodgeball and trying to, like so many other sports. And obviously there's a place for it, like football, for example. I mean, we don't need a bunch of kids out there with concussions and, CTE later on in life. But that's what's so cool about jiu-jitsu is like, it really allows kids a chance to, do this stuff in a relatively safe way and kind of tap into some of these things that, man, it used to be just playing. You know what I mean? Like when we grew up, like, dude, I got in a few freaking like rough and tumble scuffles with other boys and kids and stuff. And, we shelter our kids so much today. We just try and put, round edges and nerf everything. And so, they're just not allowed to do that stuff anymore. So
they do that. When you're saying that, I just had this flashback. I'm sure you played this as a kid. I'm probably going to offend some people right now, so I apologize. But we always used to play the game Smear the Queer.
Smear the Queer, bro.
It was a great game.
It was a great game.
Whoever had the football, everybody was going after him and smashing him. Once he got tackled, he had to throw the ball. Whoever else got it
got smashed. And what was hilarious is you wanted to be the dude with the ball. It was like you were trying to get it.
You were trying to get it and just outrun everybody and juke everybody.
Fight everybody off.
That was such a good game, dude. We used to play it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty of you listening to this played that.
Yep.
It was good old Smear the Queer. I forgot all of it. As soon as you were saying that, I was like, I bet you.
I'm sure it's around. Still just.
There's some kids. Yeah, there's probably some politically correct name for it. You know,
smear the.
I don't know. Yeah.
Gender challenged.
I don't know.
All the person who identifies.
We'll have to look that up. That'll be my bro knowledge segment for next week. The PC version of Smear the Queer.
There you go. That's what we need.
If not, we will come up with it.
Yeah. Oh, good luck, man.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So
I'll get all the neighborhood kids playing the 2018 version of Smear the Queer.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But no, kids jiu-jitsu is great. I think it's one of those things that I make my daughter, I call her the reluctant black belt, because even though she's not as into jiu-jitsu as she used to be, I'm like, you're going. Like, it's a good skill to have. You like being able to defend yourself is a good skill to have, and it's just something you need to do. So I think every kid should be doing jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. But we'd have a lot less assholes.
The world would be a better place.
Be a much better place, dude. 'Cause that's the other thing. Like, you get your ass kicked. Eventually everybody gets their ass kicked. And there's so many kids out there that have, bullying issues because they just don't understand. They have a really distorted view of their place in the world, and they grow up to be big assholes. They're the ones on the frickin' road with road rage, like flipping you off or acting like a dick. And you're looking at this dude like, man, like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, why are you acting like this? And so like there would be a lot less assholes in the world if everybody was doing jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I was reffing. That was interesting as well. Reffing kids for 2.5 hours in an in-house kids tournament. But I was joking.
It's a long night.
It's a long night. I was joking. I was telling people there was more than once where I caught myself like, oh, wait a minute, I got mount like 4 points. Like I'm just watching the jiu-jitsu and forgetting,
just
like
kind of checking out a little bit.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be like actually keeping score, or not keeping score, but scoring the points and stuff. And So yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was good. It was I don't get out and coach the kids classes as much as I used to or should, and so it was good to get back in there with the kids and kind of forgot how much fun they can be. So everybody was asking where Coach Rob was. Not really.
That's good. How's that work?
Some of them miss you, bro.
Nope, it's all good,
man. Yeah, what are you gonna do when Z starts doing jiu-jitsu? You gotta come in and maybe make a guest appearance as
possibly
Coach Rob for the kids class or two.
Possibly.
Z'll drag you in there.
He might be able to drag me in.
Z's fun that way, man. So, all right, and the last thing I got on my pre-show notes is we do have another workshop that we're gonna do on the 20th on the Ashi garami position, and yeah, some single leg X basically. And so some things I've been brainstorming, just a lot of what I do is look at like, okay, what are the common mistakes that people make with positions? And then where my brain goes is like, okay, what are the movement issues that are behind those mistakes? And then how do we fix those movement issues? And so, yeah, I've got some pretty cool things that I want to try in the thing, especially from like the mobility and strength training standpoint, to help people get a better idea of the movements that you need to develop to be able to apply it to the Ashi garami position, to be able to hold it, and then two, like how to use it as part of your game, because that's the thing we see a lot. People learn an ankle lock and then all of a sudden they're just like falling back for ankle locks all the time and just going for them, and they don't really understand how to use them as part of their game, like try to pass and hey, this opportunity presents itself, then take it, and oh, this isn't working, now come up and try to pass again. So anyways, that's kind of my goal with it, is to kind of help people get a better understanding of that. But,
I think that'll be pretty cool, because it is a position that a lot of people really don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They know to get to that sort of leg entanglement type Ashi garami type position and go for a straight ankle.
Yeah.
That's really about the complexity of most people's understanding of it.
Yeah.
So they're not understanding the principles of where the fight is.
Yeah.
And it depends, like, okay, if you're losing this fight, then change it, go here. It. Or, there's some good strategy there.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really helpful to go over for people.
Yeah. I keep referring to it as the second sword. I mean, that's like how I look at it, and I try to explain to people that, going back to that Musashi analogy of him using both swords and that being his signature style, and one of the things that led him to be so successful. And that's the thing. Like, you don't want to just start overusing the other sword. Like that's not it. Like, oh, I've just been using upper body attacks, one sword, and now somebody shows me this other sword, and now all I want to do is just attack like an idiot with it. Like that's not it. It's like, how do I use the two effectively together to achieve my mission, which is, in my opinion, to control and submit your opponent as quickly as possible. I mean, that's the goal. It's, sometimes you can have other goals when you're rolling. We've talked about that before. Like, you may go into rolling and be like, okay, I want to work a specific position, or I'm working on this today, or I'm going to kind of ratchet things down and kind of let things flow a little bit more when I'm rolling with a smaller person or whatever. But when you're like, okay, I'm rolling today, this is a match. When I'm like, when I'm going with you, man, it's like,
it's a match.
I'm trying to fucking control and submit you as quickly as possible. And I get the feeling that, a lot of times, I know sometimes you got other things you work on me, but I'd say like probably 80% of the time, that's, you're probably approaching it the same way. And so I think that's where, learning how to use leg locks effectively. Because, man, leg locks are becoming, they're so much more popular, right, than they were even just 5 years ago when I started. And I think that it's one of those things that, again, one of the reasons that leg locks start to get a bad reputation in some schools is because people start to misuse them, and it fucks up the rest of their jiu-jitsu game. And so instead of like saying like, okay, look, as a sport, man, we need to recognize this and understand that we got to start coaching people on how to integrate these two things together. A lot of times you end up with these camps of, I'm a leg lock in the leg lock camp or the anti-leg lock camp. And it's like, okay, that's not it. Like, we got to figure out, leg locks are here to stay. How are we going to like make them an effective part of everybody's game? So
that's what I really like about our school is we're pretty leg lock heavy, but we're not, completely drinking the leg lock Kool-Aid. We're not focusing on that so much to where we miss out on other good fundamental jiu-jitsu. I think we do a really good job of integrating it. Like you say, is it's that other sword. We're trying to pass, but then if somebody throws a leg up there to defend the pass, guess what? You just gave me this, and then you're attacking the leg.
Yeah.
Oh no, missed the leg. I'm back to the pass. I think we do a pretty good job of integrating it.
Yeah. Well, Kevin does a really good job of reminding us. Again, man, going back to it, I mean, everything starts at the head. I mean, Kevin's just he's a really open-minded guy when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Like I said, the idea of meritocracy is he's a believer in that, whether he knows it or not, whether he knew that name or not. But that's the thing I've always liked about him is it's like, man, if it works, then it works. And if it's not working, then is there a reason it's not working? Is it a bullshit move, or are you just not doing something properly? And he really helps us understand when we're not doing something properly versus it being a bullshit move, and encouraging that integration and stuff. So it's I think we do. But that's one of the reasons we had leg lock month last month, and so we got a lot of white belts who are really overusing the ankle locks a little bit here, and so
which is good.
That
still cracks me up though, man.
You don't know how too far is until you've gone too far.
That's the way I live my life.
Yes,
man,
yes.
So you don't know your limits until you extend yourself past that limit.
Right. Yeah.
Like, all right, let's dial it back just a touch.
Yeah. It's only bad though if you don't understand that. Okay, I am overextending this limit, and it's not working. And so what do I do instead? And so. But we're going to be filming that one and making that one available as well. But
that'll be good.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. Like I said,
we're going to do that next Saturday.
Next Saturday,
a
week from tomorrow. So I've been brainstorming these things for a while now. So I'm going to share some of them. So
that's
some
cool.
Insights. So yeah.
Okay.
There you go, man. All right.
Cool. Another thing I wanted to bring up was we got that email we got from Andrew, one of our listeners.
Yes.
Dude, I was so stoked. So Andrew. That is awesome, man. Like, you sent us that email, and it came through. He sent us an email asking about sandbags and Indian clubs.
Yes.
He liked our thoughts or your thoughts about, kettlebells maybe
being overrated. He was a kettlebell guy coming into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And he kind of liked what I was saying about how kettlebells can be overrated for jiu-jitsu because, now he's kind of suffering some of the problems a lot of people in jiu-jitsu do have, which is bum shoulders and elbows, and the joints just not able to take a lot of that overhead work that kettlebells tend to be so heavy with. But yeah, so anyways.
Yeah, so he sent us that email asking about how to integrate sandbags and Indian clubs into his, training routine, specifically, gearing towards jiu-jitsu. And dude, I was so stoked when that email came through. Like, I was at work and I seen that email come through, so I opened it and I read it, and right away I called James. I was like, "Do you see this shit? Like, this dude's asking." Like, that was cool, man. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And I seen you. We sent him off a little email back and some suggestions of some different things you can do. But again, I was just pumped.
Yeah.
That people are listening and getting some benefit out of it, man. We're not just talking to ourselves. That's way cool. So
yeah.
And if my boss is listening to this, I did not check email or make phone calls while I was driving.
No.
This was all within laws and regulations.
Exactly.
But anyways.
Yeah, Rob doesn't break any laws.
Never.
He is a law-abiding citizen.
I highly doubt my boss ever listened to this, but you never know.
You never know, man.
It's
becoming it's a surveillance-heavy society.
It is.
But, yeah, man.
That was cool.
Yeah. So... But just to address his question, though, so he said he got a sandbag and he got some 2-pound Indian clubs, and he just didn't know kind of what to start doing with them. And my response to him was the sandbag Turkish get-ups, the shouldered get-ups. And again, we got to be careful with this because a lot of times people think we just mean like holding a sandbag over your head like a normal, like you would with a kettlebell. But with a sandbag get-up, I'm generally referring to doing it with it on your shoulder. And so I'll actually start from the standing up position. I'll start standing up, get it on my shoulder, and then go down, and then get back up. And so maybe you call it like a Turkish get down.
That's exactly the way I do it. It's logically just the move, the flow of the move.
It's not wrong to lay down on the floor and then get the sandbag on your shoulder and start from down there. It's just I find it easier. It
makes more sense.
Yeah.
And once you do a few reps, you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and so using the sandbag draped over your shoulder to do your Turkish get-up is probably the number one exercise I'd say to start working in. And then also using it for carries. I mean, that's the other thing is a bear hug, the bear hug position, doing bear hug squats, doing bear hug hinges, so doing like kind of a deadlift type motion while bear hugging. But that bear hug position where you're, grabbing all the way around the sandbag and having to hug it in, again, like pretty kind of jiu-jitsu specific, having to hold and control this moving implement while you're trying to move as well. And when you hug in like that, like one of the big problems that people have is disengaging that posterior chain when they're doing squats and deadlifts, and they start to round the lower back and or upper back. And so when you're in that bear hug position, you naturally have to engage your posterior chain. Like if you start to disengage and you start to let your chest and everything cave and round, your back round, you start to lose contact with the bag. And so the bag, you don't have as much friction. And so you get this self-limiting thing, this automatic feedback loop from that bear hug position that you don't get with a lot of other positions and implements. So I really like using that bear hug position for carries and some squats and hinges, and then also just shouldered carries are really good as well. So just kind of integrating some of those things into your program. And then as far as the Indian club stuff goes, the lighter clubs are a lot more for mobility, and so there's I think we'll link to it in the show notes. I had done a video a few years ago for Bike James, but it's basically showing like here's kind of how you start using the 2-pound Indian clubs, and it's going to be the same for jiu-jitsu as well. So we'll post a link to that video, or you can just go to YouTube. There's a lot of tutorials on how to start integrating or using those, but I would just say using those as part of your warm-up before you work out is a good way to start integrating those in.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's a really good application for those lighter Indian clubs. Is just set that timer for like 10 minutes or something, and just start playing with them. If you have to, YouTube a couple of flows or a couple of moves, so to speak, and just do it for 10 minutes or so, man. Yeah. And then you find your shoulders will be good and warmed up, and then you can go into whatever workout you're doing that day. But
it's a movement skill. Like that's the other thing with Indian clubs, you really have to keep in mind. Like it's a movement skill, so it's just like jiu-jitsu from the standpoint of you need to approach it in learning. I'm practicing something. You wouldn't. Sometimes we do, but most of the time when you're drilling, right? Like we set a timer for 5 minutes and we drill. We're not counting reps. We're not trying to get a workout in from it. We are trying to drill something. We're trying to learn a movement, fine-tune things, figure out how we can dig into the details to get better. And through that, you end up getting a workout because you're moving, and you end up getting a certain amount of reps because you're just doing it. But that's not the goal. And you have to approach Indian clubs the same way. If you go into it with, you've got this goal of getting a workout and getting X number of sets and reps in, you're going to struggle with it, and you're not going to get anywhere near what you could versus like what you were saying, just setting a timer for 10 minutes and approaching it from almost like a play standpoint. Like you're, like we do with disc golf, right? Like you're interested enough to like want to get better at it, but you can't get pissed off at it. And that's where, like, if you go into it with the goal of getting a workout and getting X number of sets and reps, and you're struggling with it, that's when you get pissed off over it, because you're like, I can't get my workout in. This is too hard. Let's go back to fucking lateral raises or something like that. But yeah, if you approach it with the right mindset, you'll get a lot more out of it. In fact, I used to be one of my tests at my facility was I would give people an Indian club when they were new, and I'd have them go through a few movements, and you could tell how they reacted to it, kind of what kind of client they were going to be and how they were going to react to other stuff. Because if their reaction was, wow, this is kind of cool, this is interesting, yeah, okay, I'm not very good at it, but this is cool, I can get better at it, versus the people who were like, this sucks, I can't do this, I don't want to do this is terrible. Like, again, we go back to it all the time. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Like, the people who got curious, like, they got a little bit more of a growth mindset versus the people that got pissed off. They've got that closed mindset. Like, they're like, I can't do Indian clubs, and I can never do Indian clubs, and this sucks. Why are you making me feel bad about not being able to do Indian clubs? So So anyways, you got to check yourself. I mean, just kind of, if you're listening to this and you grab an Indian club and you find yourself getting frustrated at it, like, you may want to check, like, oh shit, why am I reacting like this? Like, am I reacting this way in other aspects of my life that I'm not noticing and closing myself off to, like, growth opportunities? But there you go. Indian clubs and personal growth all rolled into one.
And it's a good litmus test too, to see what type of person that is. I like that. I like how you use that. Like, here, play with this. Now that's what you're like. All right,
man,
it's funny.
And like, okay,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So now when I created programs for people, I knew that the people had a little bit of more of a growth mindset, we could push a little bit more with some new exercises, and I knew that the people who didn't, like, I kind of needed to keep it in the realm of what they were comfortable with and very carefully push them outside of that. So, but it said a lot about people. But so there you go, man.
And I want one other suggestion that just kind of popped into my head while we were talking about this, because Andrew had mentioned that his shoulders were kind of jacked up, which is pretty common for jiu-jitsu guys. Something I like to do, and it's probably good for all kinds of things. I don't have any science behind it, man, but just hanging from a pull-up bar. Like, when I get home from work, dude, after I've been crunched up all day and doing shit, man, like...
Well, Steve Maxwell talked about that
It feels so good, dude, just to grab that pull-up bar. I'm not doing pull-ups, man. Just grab that thing and just hang. Let it just stretch everything out, dude. That feels so good.
Yeah. Doing it, too, with the false grip, or like sometimes what they call the tactical grip.
Monkey grip
with no thumb.
Yeah.
So hanging with no thumb, that thumbless grip is really good for your shoulders as well. And so, doing both of those. But I don't know if you remember, Steve talked about that. Steve Maxwell talked about one of the Joe Rogan.
I've definitely heard more than one person
talk
about it.
He referenced a book that was written by a doctor that used to do shoulder surgeries. And
yeah.
The guy used to make money doing shoulder surgeries, and he realized...
what's that dude's name, man? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but basically he realized that the vast majority of the shoulder injuries that he was doing surgeries on could be fixed by simply taking care of your shoulders, doing a few things. And one of the main things that he found helped was that thumbless grip hanging, just letting your shoulders decompress with that thumbless grip. I don't want to use the word fixed because I'm obviously not a fucking doctor, but greatly improved the health of people's shoulders, and a lot of times to the point where they didn't need the surgery. And so when somebody who is paying for his mortgage with shoulder surgeries starts saying, like, you know what, man, like, this is better than the shoulder surgeries, like, there's probably something there. So for an extra tip that Andrew didn't necessarily think of or didn't ask, but I'm glad you thought of to throw out there.
I just, like I say, man, I was just coming at it from what feels good for me is that
me too, man.
Do the hang. It feels good.
Decompresses the spine,
shit, dude. Like, just feels good.
Yeah, we're always walking around, so it's like, you're letting the legs decompress out and letting the hip socket, and it's so good. Yeah.
You know what another good one is, and then we'll stop from here because I'll just keep coming up with these fucking ideas. But is that I call it the archer stretch.
Yeah.
Using a steel mace is really money because it's rigid, but your jiu-jitsu belt works pretty good too.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to try to explain it, obviously it's an audio podcast, not video, but or if you just YouTube archer stretch for your tricep / shoulder.
Yeah,
you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's like you're trying to touch your hands behind your back. You bring one hand over your head, and then one hand behind your back, and
but that feels
you're trying
good.
to touch in the middle, but you grab your belt
or the steel mace is really nice for it.
Yeah,
this lighter steel mace. I like it because it's like you say, it's rigid. The belt can kind of move a little bit, and that mace kind of locks it in.
Yeah,
and boom, it feels nice.
There was a stretch. God, what the hell? One of Pavel's books, the like Relax Into the Stretch, or one of the ones I've got up there. He has that stretch, and he calls it the ghost knife stretch, because because really what you're doing is, it's like if you had like a knife or a sword on your back, and you're going to unsheath the sword, and then same thing from the back. So like if you had a knife behind your back, one pointing up and one pointing down, and you're going to unsheath them. Like, it's the same pulling movement that I think that's why people
call it the archer stretch. Like, you got your quiver on your back.
You're reaching back to grab.
Pull out an arrow.
Exactly. Same idea. Yeah. So, but that's a fucking super old school martial arts stretch from, way back in the day. So that's a really good one for the shoulders as well. So, that's good, man.
And then on that note, too, our buddy Adam, and he listens to us quite a bit. He sent us a little message on Facebook. I think it was just last night. And I forgot about this, but Kelly Starrett's book, The Supple Leopard, that's another good book for jiu-jitsu people. There's so much information.
Man, that is what I'm going to say, dude. I got to be totally honest with you. Like, no, for me as a trainer, it's great. For your average practitioner,
there's so much information.
It's too much.
It's fire hoses.
It is way too much. It is way too in depth. It is way it is. Yeah,
there's a ton of shit.
There's a ton of shit. I love it. Like if you're into this, like we are, and you're really and you like it's a great book and a great reference book. But I think that, man, how do I put this? I think that's one of those. It's kind of like The Emperor's New Clothes, where there's a lot of people who get that book and they look at it and then it sits on the bookshelf and they never touched it, but they have it. And if someone talks about it, they're like, oh, that's such a great book. Yeah, I've got that book. It's such a great book for mobility. Yeah. But man, I will guarantee you that fucking 80% of the people that own that book have read well less than half of it. Because it is just way too much. So I don't mean to bag on it, because that's not my point. My point is that I think that again, this is just where I've gone as I've gotten older. Maybe it's just because I'm just losing patience with stuff. I'm just like, give me the goddamn, what do I need to do? Yeah. Give me what I need to do. Like what is, like Musashi's book, The Book of Five Rings. I've talked about this before. Every word in that book has such power behind it. It is such a short book for what it conveys. And, there's a fucking laconic, right? It came from the Lacedaemonians, which is the old Spartans, which is hilarious, man. My favorite fucking story of all time, when Philip, Alexander's father, the guy who went on to become Alexander the Great, was kicking the shit out of the Greeks, and he never made his way down to where the Spartans were, but he sent them a message, if I come down to Sparta, Lacedaemania, I'm gonna ravage your fields and burn your villages and rape your women and blah 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 blah. And the fucking Spartans' reply was if. It was it. And I'm like always like, God, that is like, to me, that is like my goal when I try to write stuff, when I try to create content for people, is like if. Like if I can get what I need to across with one word, why use two? And so for me, I like to find, I think for your average person, like finding resources that fit into that are really, really valuable. But I mean, there's some stuff out there. I mean, there's like the Yoga for BJJ guy. I've heard some really good stuff. I mean, I'll just be honest, I haven't like checked out his stuff personally, but I've heard some really good stuff about his stuff. But that's kind of more like, if you need some like meat and potatoes, go to somebody who's doing it and invest in learning what they're doing. But a lot of times, man, those books are because you got a publisher and you got to have so many pages and it's got to fit on a bookshelf, and there's so many things that when you write a physical book that you have to kind of fulfill that don't necessarily have anything to do with the core mission of the message behind the book. That's why I like the digital stuff, man, is, really, really good. And I love books too, but I think if I really need to just kind of learn something, like I'm going to go to an online, like if I need to learn how to do an exercise, or if I need to learn how to stretch, or looking for stuff to help my mobility, like I'm going to go online and look for, just show me what to do, versus going to the store and buying a book, and now I've got fucking 300 pages I've got to read, and I got to figure out like what the routine is at the end and stuff like that. So anyways, that's just my thoughts. Again, it's a great suggestion. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I just want to give a shout out. Like, if you're one of those people who are like, God damn it, man, that book, I couldn't get much out of it because I didn't know what the fuck to get out of it. You're probably not alone. No. And don't feel bad, but that doesn't mean it's not a great book, and a lot of people haven't been helped by it. So,
Adam, I tried to give you a good shout out. James just shot you down. So when you come through town,
it's half and half,
and we're gonna train. Remember, bring the fucking heat on James.
Now it's brown belt Adam.
Yeah, that's right. Brown belt Adam is gonna be putting a smash on you.
I know.
You don't like my suggestion?
The fuck out of me.
You don't like my suggestion, James? How's this fucking crossface?
Nah, man. Jesus. Now, you know we love you, Adam. No, it's a good suggestion. And again, I hope everybody understands. Like, it is a good suggestion. I just, sometimes I just like to be contrarian.
Cool.
Just fucking keeps me going.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then one last thing. This is a quote.
You sound like fucking Z, bro. One thing.
One more thing.
One more thing. One thing.
Well, did I keep saying that today? God.
I think you said the last thing was the last thing. You said one more thing.
This is really my last pre-show deal. So I'm reading that book, Principles, Ray Dalio's book.
Cool,
right?
yeah.
I'm reading that. And man, there's a really good quote in there. Like, this book it's not a jiu-jitsu book. It's a business/life book. But man, he had this quote that says, and I thought it carried over to jiu-jitsu so well.
So much, yeah.
So, but it's the quote is, maturity is the ability to reject good alternatives in order to pursue even better ones.
Yeah.
Dude. I read that and I was like, man, that's so important in jiu-jitsu. I mean, we won't go into dissecting that just to save you guys the fucking ear beating, but man, like, that carries over to jiu-jitsu so well.
It does, man. I
read that and I was like, dude, I gotta write that down. Like, I gotta share that.
It is, man. I will say, like, that's one of those things that I struggle with for sure. Like, it is like the jiu-jitsu maturity comes, I feel like that, again, like purple belt's that adolescent phase. Like, I'm still close enough to white belt where I vividly remember being a white belt and exactly what it, felt like and all of that. But I can start to see some glimpses of what the adults are seeing. Here and there.
I've thought about that exact analogy before, and the way I've worded it, I don't know if I've ever put this out in the world. The way I've thought about it, the way I see purple belts, it's kind of like when you start to hit puberty and you find your dad's Playboy stash in his bottom dresser drawer, and you're like, "What is this whole world I'm venturing into?"
Right.
That's really what it's at. You're like, "What are these adults getting into?" That's where you're at when you're a purple belt.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, no, but you see that because it is you do as you mature, and we've talked about this before about like developing your own game, and part of developing your own game is that. And sometimes you got to not pursue good alternatives. Like, that strategy or that move or whatever may be great, but man, if you're really good, if your game is really strong in a certain area, sometimes it's continuing to spend time on that area is going to be your best bet as you get better. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the black belts. Fuck, dude, how many times have we been cross-checked by Pimenta?
Oh, God. And you know it's coming.
It's coming. There's no secret about what is happening and is coming. And it's like, it's not that he can't do other things. It's just that he has realized, in his maturity that, man, this is it. And so part of developing, taking things to that level is, okay, I'm not going to pursue these other things. Like when I'm drilling, when I'm rolling, I'm not going to be working on these other things because these are great alternatives, good alternatives, but they're not, the best ones for me. So I don't know. That's kind of how I see that quote. I don't know how you looked at it.
I looked at it a couple different ways for jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that, as far as structuring your practice time, sometimes you have to sharpen that sword, not look for those other opportunities and just go. But there's other times to where you have to venture out a little bit. Yeah. But that mature, I thought more about it as far as actually live rolling, when you're wrestling. Sometimes that first submission you see or that first escape you want to use isn't really the one you should use. Yeah. You kind of need to pump the brakes on that and go to, there's a better option. Yeah. If you skip that one, there's a better option. Yeah. But you don't know that until you put the time on the mat. Yep. So yeah, mature. That's kind of how I was thinking more about it like that. But it could definitely apply to practice. So.
Yeah, I struggle with that, man. Yeah. Sometimes I'm
like, you just found your dad's Playboy stash. You don't even know.
I know, man. Well, I'm just like, damn. Do I just like blondes? Is that all I like, or do I want to experiment a little bit more here? Or blondes it?
As you get deeper into your purple belt.
It's not blondes, obviously. It's brunettes, baby, because obviously my beautiful wife.
Good save.
Yes.
Good save. Yes. But I'll just leave it at that. I was going to say some other ridiculous analogy, but we'll just leave it at that.
All right. So yes, maturity and knowing. Yeah, because that is, man. There's a lot of, you'll see a lot of times, like saying, if you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else.
Yep. There's sacrifices.
There's only so much time and energy in the world, and it's everything in life. If you say yes to this, you have to say no to something else. And it's recognizing that that's also applies to your jiu-jitsu. Like if you say yes to, this first submission attempt, or you say yes to, drilling this instead of that, like you're saying no to something else. And so it's recognizing like, well, wait a minute, am I saying no to the wrong things because this yes just seems a little easier in the moment, kind of thing. So there you go.
Anyways.
All right, let's move on, man.
That was the final last thing.
Okay.
Get into the
show
itself.
The show itself. There we go. So advice for getting back into BJJ.
Yep.
Now, so again, like kind of the idea that we had, and again, Kevin threw this out there when we were trying to figure out what to talk about, and we were both like, yeah, that's good.
He came up with some good ideas.
He's becoming our junior producer, man. Yeah,
I'm not going to promote him.
No, he's not becoming senior producer.
No, he's definitely not. I'm senior producer. I'm producer extraordinaire. He wanted to be program director. He applied for a job here at Grumpy Guy BJJ as program director. We're still reviewing his application. I'm telling you, probably not going to hire him. We might give him some
intern.
We'll intern. Let him intern.
Yeah. No, he's got some good ideas and
once in a while.
So yeah, no, we appreciate his input for sure. but
we're not hiring you on full time, buddy.
Not quite yet, man. Not quite yet. Anyways, but yeah, it was one of the things he threw out there. Just advice for people getting into the gym after the first of the year. People having their New Year's resolutions, either starting or getting back into it. So that was kind of our idea. And well, I approached it like, one, we have our episode 2, where we have our advice to white belts. And some of this stuff there's obviously a lot of crossover. If you're starting jiu-jitsu for the first time, well, all of this advice to white belts is going to apply to you as well. And so I didn't want to like rehash a bunch of stuff that we went over in that episode. What I wanted to do is kind of touch on some other things because, like I said, the thing is we're going to see a bunch of new faces in the gym over the next few weeks, and then in the next few months, a lot of those faces are going to disappear. And how do you stop that from happening yourself? And maybe some advice that you can give to someone you're training with that might help them along the path as well. So that was kind of how I approached it. Was looking at it more like, what can we tell people to help them survive those first few months? Because if you can get past that first 6 months, to a year and get the rhythm going, you're a lot more likely to stick with it than if you really just fuck up out of the gate and you're just making all sorts of mistakes, and then it's just unsustainable. So anyways, that was kind of my thoughts on it.
How I approached it, it was more the mindset of the thought process of getting back into jiu-jitsu after a long hiatus. Whether you had an injury or you just quit.
Well, see that
that was really my focus.
Yeah,
because
that's interesting.
It's a different mindset.
It's different. That's actually the first thing I have written down. Because that's what I was, once again, Kiele, who's probably our junior producer. She always helps me with my notes.
I'm gonna rank her higher than Kevin.
Okay.
She's higher.
She's our senior producer.
She's our junior producer in this adventure.
Okay, she just got promoted.
Yep. No pay increase with that though.
No,
just so she knows.
Right. But anyway, so yeah, when we were talking, that was the first note I wrote down was. Because we've been at this, or I've been at this long enough, and it's over the last couple of years, we've seen enough people come in who've had that long layoff. And what I've kind of noticed is that it seems to be that purple belt and above level, and people who have taken 2, 3, 5+ years, like a pretty, extended layoff off that, I don't want to say I don't know if the word is struggle, but I see they definitely have to have a different way of looking at getting back into jiu-jitsu versus the person who is just starting out, or maybe they did jiu-jitsu for a year or so, but then they quit, and it's like, well, I kind of remember a scissor sweep, but I was still getting my ass handed to me every time I rolled. So there's something about hitting that, you hit that purple belt level, and above, and you have memories of being good here and there on occasion. And so you have to temper getting back into jiu-jitsu with that mindset, like those memories that you don't have to contend with when you're just starting out fresh. So yeah, I totally agree, man. You definitely have to have a little bit different mindset and approach to getting back into it after an extended layoff, whether it's an injury or just life got in the way or whatever. But yeah, for sure. And like I said, we've had a couple guys come in the gym over the last, year or so who've got, that purple belt and above rank. And, like I said, I've definitely noticed them having to look at it a little bit different. So, yeah.
So hopefully this helps them.
Yeah, hopefully this helps. Well, just
if they're
anyone out there. So anyways, yeah, I mean, what do you got? What do you got?
The first one I would say is take it easy. Yeah, I mean, depending on how much time you took off for whatever reason, you're not just going to jump back into the same level you were at. It just, I mean, there's a learning curve again there. It's going to be a better learning curve than someone starting out fresh, but you can't just come back in balls to the wall, 5, 6, 7 training sessions a week and not get dinged up. And you got to approach it easily, man. If you quit, there was a reason you quit, whether it was an injury or your time management or whatever it was. So you just going freaking hog wild with it again, it's not going to be sustainable. You know what I mean? It's just not. So take it easy. Like one, take it easy is a couple different levels. Like, again, we'll have to get into the reasons why you would have quit, but just start out with like 1 or 2 classes a week. Don't be, that's it, man. I'm reinventing myself. I'm training fucking 8 times a week. Like, here we go. Like, dude, no, man. Just do it a couple times a week. Start out there. So that's what I mean. Take it easy there. The other part would be when you're actually training, like your body, dude, you got to recondition yourself. Yeah. You can't just come in, drill, and then just start wrestling hard as shit again, because then you're going to get hurt. Then you're another layoff. Yeah. And that's just going to, I've seen that cycle repeat, dude. I've seen that firsthand. That cycle is someone that was probably pretty good at one point in time. They come in and all of a sudden they're just wrestling hard. They're doing everything 100%. And one, your body's not conditioned for it. 2, you're older than you were.
Yeah, it's true. You got more wear and tear.
You got more wear and tear on you. Whatever you were doing in your time off, Father Time,
keeps going, man.
He keeps going, dude.
You don't take a day off.
He's collecting that bill every day that goes by. And you come in and start going hard, you're going to get hurt again, and then you're going to have another layoff. So, man, just back off a little bit. Yeah. I think that's an important one.
Yeah, no, man, I got that down too. And again, I think, this a lot of this advice applies across the board. I mean, if you're starting jiu-jitsu, period, you need to take it easy, because the worst thing that you can do is get injured or burn out or something like that in the short term. And the odds of you coming back in after another break are just, they're not the best. And so for me, I put down, one of the things I put down was frequency. You don't want to overdo it, but you also don't want to underdo it. So, like, I would, I put like 3 to 4 times a week, and really like closer to 3 for most people starting out. But I would say starting out, like, no more than 4 training sessions a week, getting going. And, 1 to 2, if that's what you got, 1 to 2, especially if you're just starting, like, that may not be enough to learn jiu-jitsu and really kind of like progress with it as quickly as you could. But I found that for a lot of people, 3 times a week is that sweet spot where you're going to see the best progress for the effort and time that you're putting in. And like, once you start going above those 3 times a week, the amount of energy and effort that you put in to those training sessions, the amount of results that you're getting from it isn't the same. And so that's where your professional athletes come in, right? Like, if you're, you got nothing to do but train, that's your job. Well, those are the people that can train hard, multiple times a day, several days a week. But for most of us, it's going to be 3 to 4 training sessions a week, max. And just, not being proactive with that, not waiting until you have to take time off to, start cutting back. So, but I totally agree, man. Not overdoing it is a huge part. I'd say too, tying into that was specifically for, people coming back, is like not trying to make up for the loss of technique with strength and just aggression. Yeah, that's not the trade-off. And it goes back to, like, jiu-jitsu should be 60 to 80% effort. If you're going 100%, something's wrong. And so recognizing that, like, man, you're going 100% because you're trying to make up for the technique and just some of the timing that you've lost. And that's your ego not wanting to let some blue belt, tap you out or get the best of you or whatever. It's going to hold you back, I think. The idea is it's just like riding a bike. It'll come back to you, but it'll come back to you so much faster if you're relaxed and letting it come back to you than if you're just trying to force it and really just making that 100% effort every time you're rolling to try to make up for it. And so, yeah, I think both those things are, all those things kind of fall in that take it easy category. But, yeah. So
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
You want to go next one? Or you want me to go?
Man, I'll throw one out there. I would say a big one. Again, man, we preach a lot of the same stuff on this podcast is respecting recovery, and I think that one of the big mistakes people make is they don't adjust their lifestyle when they start doing jiu-jitsu, and without realizing, like, man, jiu-jitsu, it's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And you can't just keep living, doing the same things, like getting, 6 hours or less of sleep every night and, just doing the same stuff. You can't just shoehorn jiu-jitsu into your regular lifestyle. Like, jiu-jitsu has to become part of your lifestyle. And so things like making sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. Hydration, I think, is a big thing. Like, you sweat so much doing jiu-jitsu. If you don't compensate for that and start drinking more water, especially like, throwing a little salt in your water, because it's not just hydration levels, it's also like the ratio of minerals and electrolytes and stuff in your body. So that's something that can really start to affect people if they don't recognize it and start to compensate for it. Stretching and mobility, we talk about that a lot. So yeah, those are kind of some of my top 3 things for helping with recovery. But that's, again, just a big mistake is people just say, I'm just going to start doing jiu-jitsu without looking at the rest of their day and going like, well, is this going to support jiu-jitsu? Because, man, I guarantee you, if you're trying to run on 5 hours sleep and just nothing in your life has changed, it's not going to work. It's
a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And a perfect example of that. One, I agree with everything you said. The recovery is important. But like for me today, usually like on Fridays, I have Friday, Saturday, Sundays off, man. I try to get 2 hard training sessions in each, all 3 of those days. But man, I'm going to have to skip one of them today. I didn't get home until 11 o'clock last night. I'm running on 6 hours of sleep right now. So, man, it's tough. Like, I really want to go train at noon, and then I'm going back to teach tonight and train again tonight. But I'm thinking that's probably not my best choice, just because I think my body needs more rest. Like, I should probably better off skipping noon, even though I'm missing time on the mat. Like, skipping that training session, going home, getting an afternoon nap in, feeling better and training hard tonight. I think it's probably going to be more beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I can fight through it and go train. But is that going to be good for me physically, mentally? Like, probably not. And it's a tough decision to make. Because you feel like you're missing out on a training session. But man, you got to respect that rest, dude.
And you got to suffer the jibes of Kevin about why are you being such a wuss.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways,
dude, because I can just feel it sitting here talking right now. Like, dude, I'm tired, man. Like, I've put in a lot of hours this week, and yesterday was a long ass day. So it's like, you got to kind of make those calls sometimes.
Yeah.
And you got to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah. And it's, and again, that stuff that you learn to do over time, but if you're not proactive about it, like, I'll guarantee that you've probably learned that lesson the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's the danger. Like, I joke with people, like, we'll see people come back in after a month or two, and I'm like, they're like, oh, I'm just trying to get back in. It's like, good, man, good. Like, as long as you're just taking a break and not quitting. Right? Like, everybody says they're going to take a break. They just never come back. It's like, no, you quit. And that's the problem is, like, most breaks turn into quitting. We've seen it just, dude, so many times over the years. Just people that you thought were like, yeah, man, this dude's got it. He's in, he's this is one of those guys I can see making it all the way. And, being here training for years and years and years, and it's like, oh, I got to take a break for whatever reason, and you just never see him again. You see him around town, and they're like, oh, yeah, I just got busy, and this happened, that happened. So that's really the thing you got to avoid in the beginning is taking those breaks.
Don't take a break.
Don't take the breaks. And so that's where, like, you have to be proactive about it, right? Like, don't learn the lesson the hard way, because odds are you're not like Rob. Odds are... hopefully you're not like Rob.
Let's hope not.
Rob's a great guy. I know we joke about you, dude, but you're a great guy, man.
Let's hope not, bro.
But no, it's one of the things, like, you are a very focused, disciplined person. And so for you, taking a break isn't nearly as dangerous as it is for your average person. And so that's why they need to be proactive and make sure that they're, okay, yeah, I need to think about my sleep. I need to think about my hydration and all these things before it becomes a problem, because usually when it becomes a problem, you have to take a little bit of a break to fix the problem.
It's too late.
Yeah.
If you haven't put the planning ahead of time.
Yes.
And then that problem comes up. It's, shit.
Yeah.
That break is going to be forced upon you.
Yeah. Man, that is the fight. That is really the fight with jiu-jitsu, is not having forced breaks put upon you too often, because the more often they are, the less likely you are to come back. So that was a one. I did have down here supplements. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on, like, supplements for, obviously we can, this isn't like a nutrition and supplement podcast subject, but I didn't know if you had any, like, supplement recommendations for recovery that you like, or things that you are like, man, this is popular but is bullshit, people just need to avoid.
Dude, the three, if I had to just say three, and then I don't get crazy with supplements anymore, man, 2 or 3, and I'd call it, is one, hydrated. I really like how I'm going to say 2 or 3 now. I'm going to give you 4. But anyways, the salt in the water, that's gold, dude. Like, because I sweat like a freaking reggae band at a Ku Klux Klan rally, dude. Like, I sweat bad. And I get super dehydrated. And I think it wasn't until, like, this past summer that I started putting salt in my water bottle on a regular basis. And I found that, dude, that helps so much from cramping. Yeah. Just because usually by my second training session at night, dude, like, the last couple rounds, I am fighting off cramps. Like, my feet, my hamstrings, like, all kinds of shit. Like, there ain't nothing worse than being on bottom getting your ass kicked, or you got to give up a position because your leg's cramping. And and I don't want to quit just because it's cramping. I'll fight through and just take the ass whooping, not just kick my leg straight because your hamstring's cramping. And, like, I really started avoiding that by putting the salt in the water. But anyways, for recovery, the salt in the water is huge. Creatine. I like creatine. It's relatively cheap, and there's been a ton of studies. That's probably one of the most studied supplements out there. Yeah. There's a ton of good studies on that. Anyways, vitamin D and fish oils. Really, I think all those are pretty important for recovery. And that's what it's in my supplement cupboard. Yeah. Vitamin D, fish oils, of course, salt.
I'm a lot of those same page. I throw in the CBD oil. I mean, that's been something I've been using for a couple months, and definitely feel like that's helped with.
So you'll pop hot in a test though. Like, for me, I can't for work.
And that is, again, I don't. Yeah, if you.
Some of them you will. It depends. It's a little bit of a gamble.
Again, if you work somewhere that they make you pee in a cup.
Stupid freaking
sorry
job.
To hear that.
That is me.
So then you got to make sure. But yeah, the CBD oil is definitely. I mean, it's a good antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. I mean, there's so many good benefits to that. I like the D3, but the K2 I take with it. So the vitamin K2 and D3 together, and I think I mentioned, it's like the K2's
it's really important to take them together, isn't it?
It is important to take them together. And
what doesn't the vitamin K helps the vitamin D absorb or something? Yeah, like that? I forget.
Yeah, they work with each other to help. Yeah, so it's not just one or the other. And the K2 specifically helps with inflammation, making sure that the calcium that you're taking in is going to your bones and your joints. And so there's definitely some recovery benefits. I've gotten a lot of benefits out of it since I started taking it, just with my freaking hands and elbows and stuff. So, the D3 and really, I as far as like, core supplements and stuff like that, I mean, I'll throw in some fish oil, I'll do some fulvic minerals and stuff, but yeah, for the most part, it's those two and the salt in the water, and even like the creatine I'll play around with here and there.
Coffee.
Coffee, dude. Caffeine is such a good
money.
Sugar. Sugar's a performance enhancing drug, brother. So throw a little sugar in there here and there. But yeah, really keeping it simple. But I think kind of one of the things, one of the mistakes a lot of people make with supplements is they try to look at supplements to enhance their performance instead of enhance their recovery. And so that's where you get like these pre-workout, things where you're just taking just mega doses of caffeine and things like that. But really just trying to look at using your supplements. So if like you don't eat a lot of vegetables, like using a greens powder, like that's a smart way to use supplementation, to fill in gaps that you may not be getting from your regular diet or whatever. So, but that's the way to use supplements, folks.
I like that. That's really important that you said using supplements to aid in your recovery, not your performance. Because if you have better recovery, you're going to have better performance.
Yes.
But I really like that. Because let's be real. Like if you want to improve your performance, you want some supplements. Steroids are the name of the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's a reason people get popped taking them all the time because
right.
They work. They work. Dude.
They work.
So flat out, man. If you want to improve your performance, start injecting some shit in the side of your leg.
But
and you're going to be a freaking monster.
Yeah, what's funny though is even steroids, they don't enhance your performance. They enhance your recovery.
I guess
that is exactly what they do. Like
true,
they are a recovery drug. Like again, I'm going to go off on a fucking weird little tangent here. But this is one of the things that drives me up the fucking wall about the whole baseball steroid thing, right? Like people are vilifying Barry Bonds for what he did, and he took the cream and the clear and was doing steroids or whatever. Steroids are a recovery drug. You got to put in the fucking work. You can't just take steroids and become a better baseball player.
No.
But in the 80s, baseball players were popping greenies, amphetamines. They admit it. Like Mike Schmidt, he's like beloved third baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies. Admits.
Good job dropping other sports knowledge.
Dude, I know a lot of shit, man. I know a lot of shit.
I liked you better when you knew less about baseball. What the fuck, James?
I know a scary amount about baseball, dude. I used to be a big baseball geek when I was a kid. But anyways, he's openly admits like, yeah, dude, we take greenies all the time. They just had bowls of them in the clubhouse. Amphetamines are a performance enhancing drug. You take an amphetamine, you immediately get a performance enhancement. Your energy, your ability to track a ball, like all of these things are enhanced immediately. And yet, you know what I mean? Like these guys, it was just amphetamines. It's okay. But steroids have been vilified and demonized to such a fucking level in this country that like people don't see the irony. You know what I mean? Like Mike Schmidt's in the Hall of Fame and no one is calling for him to be kicked out for admitting to using amphetamines, which are a direct performance enhancing drug. You take an amphetamine, you step out on the baseball diamond, you are a better baseball player than you were before you took it. You take a shot of steroids and step out on the baseball diamond, you are not a better baseball player than you did before you took it. It's only after you've been putting in work and taking the steroids for a period of time then they've allowed you to recover faster and enhance what you're getting from your training, and then that makes you a better baseball player. But no one's, you know what I mean? No one's going to let the steroid people in the fucking Hall of Fame, but all the amphetamine folks are fine. Like, if you can't see, like, that is just a product of the societal, norms that we were brought up in, and that people can't take a step back and realize, like, yeah, it's the same thing that happened with marijuana. Freaking, like, it got vilified to such a point based on nothing, and most people can't even get their head out of their ass to realize, like, wait a minute, why do we even hate this stuff in the first place? Like, why do we hate steroids? You know what I mean? Like, anyways, I don't want to get too far off, but I think it's bullshit. I think that it's freaking nonsense. Everybody's, they're all the baseball hearings when all those congressmen dragged them up there.
Why still, yeah, we could have a whole podcast on this. Why in the world did the government get involved with people hitting balls with sticks because they were on the juice.
Well,
who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I know,
man?
who gives a fuck?
I don't care.
Yeah, it was a lot of grandstanding. It was just a point.
Why would our politicians get involved in that, man? There's way much more.
But here's my point, right? So these motherfuckers are wagging their fingers at Mark McGuire and Rafael Palmeiro and Jose Canseco and all these guys and telling them that they're bad people and, oh, dare you, the children, and you're taking part. And I'm looking at this dude and I'm like, okay, so you're on Propecia, you're on Viagra, you're on an antidepressant, you're on fucking Adderall. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. In the meantime, every single one of these old fuckers shaking their fingers at these dudes are on some sort of performance-enhancing drug. But it's not steroids. So therefore,
it's okay.
They're okay.
Right.
But these people are bad because they took a hormone that will help them, anyway. So, yeah, dude, it just drove me nuts. But again, like, just people don't even take a step back and think about that. So, there you go. Not that I'm saying Mike Schmidt should be kicked out of the Hall of Fame. I love Mike Schmidt. I think it's horseshit that we make a distinction like that and that you're vilifying one group while excusing the other group just because our society says that one's not that bad and the other one is. And it's like, dude, I'd much rather find out that my kid was taking steroids and find out he was taking fucking amphetamines. You know what I mean? Like, if you're talking about the children and examples for the children, like, I wouldn't be pumped on either one. But I'd be like, hey, man, you know what? Like, well, let's get you to the doctor and monitor your hormone levels and make sure you're doing this right. There's no way, like, oh, you're on amphetamines? Like, get the fuck off of those things. Like, there is no, like, oh, well, let's go to the doctor. And there is a right way to take amphetamines. You know what I mean? Like, there is a right way to take steroids. It's right and safe way. And so, anyways, there we go. Completely off subject. Off topic.
Let me take it a little more off subject. I'm sure you've read the story about that pitcher, since we're talking about baseball, that pitched a no-hitter on acid.
Oh, yeah.
Back in, like, the 70s.
Yeah.
It's, God, what's the dude's name? I forget. I think there's a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah,
I read the book a long time ago. But anyways, that's pretty badass.
Dude, baseball's
pitch a no-hitter on acid. Dude, that is so bananas. But anyways.
Dude, you don't know what the fuck, dude. Athletes are crazy. Some of them are fucking nuts, man.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they can just go. I mean, you got, stories of, Dennis Rodman and Michael Jordan, like, up all night. Not together, like, party. Like, Michael Jordan be playing poker all night long and then just show up the next day on, like, minimal sleep and just kick everybody's ass. And, like, people trying to keep up with him were dying, And so, yeah, there's that famous, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. And, the old Cowboys, you had Michael Irvin. And they also had Alvin Harper. And fucking Michael destroyed Alvin Harper because Michael could just party like a motherfucker, show up the next day and just perform, and people trying to hang out with him were just suffering, man. So yeah, you find those outliers, dude. They're just some freaks, special people, man, special people. But those are the ones that stories are told about and whatever. So in the meantime,
odds are you're not one of those special people.
If you're
drink your water,
take your creatine. And if you are taking steroids, then you know what we're talking about. So anyway, sorry.
Okay, next one. I'll go. I'll let James simmer down on this one. I think it's super important to get back into time management. Like, so, a lot of these, I think the umbrella that covers over a lot of these is your jiu-jitsu doesn't stop when you walk out the door. Once you get really involved in jiu-jitsu, your life, jiu-jitsu is in your life.
Yeah.
It's not you walk in the gym and you're jiu-jitsu James.
That was one of our top 10 mistakes.
Yeah. And you walk out of the gym and now you're James the dad, James the husband. Like, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
If you want to keep jiu-jitsu in your life, like, it's all the same. And so you gotta, in time, dude, we're all so busy, man. Everybody's busy. And you always hear this excuse when people take a long layoff is life got in the way. I understand there probably is some life circumstances that get in the way, some major illness in your family, blah, blah, blah. There's some major shit that goes down, but let's be honest, man. Like, most of the time, if someone has to take a long time off or any time off, it's probably piss poor time management skills. Like, you didn't want to do it bad enough, so you didn't take the time to sit down and see what your week looks like. Okay, these are my obligations this week. I have to, I got a kid's choir concert. I got a parent-teacher conference. I got work. I got this meeting. Like, you have all this stuff laid out. Like, okay, I want to train here, here, and here. So then you talk to your family members, whoever else you have to deal with. Like, hey, man, this is what I have going on. Like, I want to go train here, here. You got to put that time in and schedule that, set it aside, and then just follow through with that plan.
Yeah.
If you're a busy person and you're having trouble finding time training, those are the lengths you have to go to make it work.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple, man. Like,
yeah.
You got to be, I hate to say it, but you just got to be a freaking adult about it.
Yeah.
Like, just
got to be a little selfish about it.
Yeah, you do. And you got to say, hey, I want to train. I'm going to train here and here.
Yeah.
That's it. Get it on the calendar. Boom.
Yeah.
And have at it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. I think a lot of people fail. They'll just be like, oh, I'm going to try to get in this week and this week. Or this day and this day. And it doesn't pan out.
Old Yoda had it right, man. Do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try, man. You got to schedule it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
And if it's important to you, you will do that.
Yeah.
It's just as that,
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that too. Just having the discipline. I mean, just going back to old Jocko Willink's book, "Discipline Equals Freedom." I mean, that's it. Like, you have to have the discipline of, okay, tonight's the night to train. And again, it's such a fine line, right? Like, so we were just talking about, like, you making the call to not go in and train when you normally would because you feel like you need some time off because you need to rest. And it takes time to differentiate between I genuinely need time off to rest versus my body, I don't want to do it. Like, my body's telling me no, and I just need to mentally say, yes, I'm going in and doing it. And so at first, like, you need to just make the fucking training sessions. And that's where not overcommitting and not overscheduling yourself comes in. So, like, if you're only just got 2 to 3 training sessions a week scheduled, make those motherfuckers. Like, make them. Like, you're not going to overtrain doing that. And if you do go into one session when you are a little overtrained, then you need to be aware of that and make sure that you're doing something to help you recover a little bit extra the next day. Get a little extra sleep. Make sure you're really on point with your nutrition. But yeah, you make sure that you got that discipline to make those classes, and it just becomes part of what you're doing. Like, even when you don't want to do it, like, I'll admit, man, there's nights I'm on the mat and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I don't necessarily want to be here. I've got other things going on. I'm just here out of habit. That's great. That's exactly where you want to be. Like, that's where you want to get yourself, is like, this is just a habit where even if you don't want to be here and you got other stuff going on, just, how did I find myself here? Like, I just got in the car and I drove there, and that's just my habit. And so, yeah, scheduling that time and having that time management is a big part of it. Because if you just say, let's see what happens, like, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
And another point on that time management too is, so not only scheduling the time with your other responsibilities in life, but your actual time management once you get to the gym. Because you'll hear people talking about, like, their significant other gets mad at them because they're at jiu-jitsu so much. Well, because we all really get along with each other. So there's a lot of times that you spend time sitting around bullshitting with each other after class or this or that.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, you turn in, and so you have class for an hour, then you spend a half hour rolling, and then you can bounce. Well, that gets stretched, man. There's a lot of times I go to train and I'm at the gym for 3-4 hours. You know?
Yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Right, yeah.
So sometimes you can't do that. And you just have to know that going in. Like, all right, I'm going to show up a little bit early, warm up a little bit, boom, do class. I got time for this many rounds, leaves me time to stretch, then I go home.
Yeah.
And you got to be disciplined with that, too, because if you go in just kind of willy-nilly about it, then you start stretching. Then, you tell your wife or whatever that you're going to be at the gym for 2 hours. Next thing you know, you're home 4 hours later. She's like, oh, what the fuck? We were supposed to do this. We were supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely not making any
It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you stay consistent in the long run. So,
yeah, you want the people around you to buy into it. I mean, there's a couple things. One, another one of our top 10 mistakes was, letting life get in the way and quitting. I mean, it's obviously a fucking huge mistake. That's going to kill your jiu-jitsu. You're not going to get anywhere after that. But, one of the points was that you have to be a little selfish in order to make this work. But the trade-off is that you're going to be a healthier, better, more present person in the rest of your life. The strategies and mindset that you learn from jiu-jitsu are going to help you be more successful in the other aspects of your life. So that time that you're putting in, it helps you get more out of the other hours of the day. So you taking that time off, this is a hard thing for people. I mean, really exercise in general, but jiu-jitsu specifically, when you don't do it, you're not gaining that time. You are so less productive in the other hours of the day that it's not a net gain. And so just being selfish and scheduling that time and forcing yourself to go in and doing it, you're actually going to get more done and you're going to be more successful and have better relationships and all these other things in your life than if you didn't do it. And so it's really one of the best things that you can do to enhance your career, to enhance your friendships, to enhance your family, all of these things that would be your excuse for why you don't do jiu-jitsu. This is why I quit, because I didn't have time, because, I get something for work or something for my family. And so I think that's one thing, but you got to balance that too with, like you were saying, you don't want to swing the pendulum so far the other direction that you're neglecting the other people in your life. And so like one of my suggestions I had written down was to try to get your family or friends involved. If you can get your significant other, if you can get your friend or coworker to do it with you, then you're going to be way more likely to stick with it. And because now you got a buy-in from some other people in your life rather than you being the Lone Ranger, the only person doing it in your whole circle of friends and family, which can get a little lonely, to be honest. So I'm pretty lucky that Kiele does jiu-jitsu and, both my kids go in. And so it's, good there. But before she got in to jiu-jitsu, it was definitely the point where I was doing it too much. And I realized, like, man, I'm actually doing it too much because I'm not getting to spend time with my family like I should. And even though Kiele is such a sweetheart, she wasn't, bitching and moaning and complaining about it. I just realized that that's not healthy for my family. And so yeah, it's two sides of the same coin. You don't want to alienate people by getting so selfish that you're just like, I'm doing jiu-jitsu and fuck you. But at the same token, you can't be like, okay, sweetie, I'm sorry. You don't want me to do jiu-jitsu. Okay, whatever you say. Like, that's not the fucking answer either. So somewhere between those two extremes is where you got to find yourself. But,
Time management.
Time management,
Being
man.
an adult.
Psychology as well plays a role. Time management, but yeah, I know that wasn't kind of your point, but
No,
you got to play the psychology.
It was on the same vein.
Yeah, with the other people in your life, man. Like if you're not getting their buy-in and you're not psychologically thinking about how it's affecting them, then it's going to be a lot harder as well. So
and how you said about being selfish. Actually, I'm almost positive we've talked about this before. Just with fitness or jiu-jitsu, there is a little bit of a selfish element to it, but it's not, because you're going to be a better person for it, and then you're going to be a much better version of yourself for your family.
Yeah,
that always bothers me when you talk to some parent, some dad that says he just doesn't have time to work out because he's got too much shit going on with his kids. Like, man, you gotta switch. It's perspective. Like, you gotta switch the way you're thinking. Like, you want to be a good role model for your kids, so you want to be the best version of yourself. So I'm not saying you got to go spend 8 hours a day at the gym. Yeah. Unless you're a professional freaking athlete, that's your job. But you still have to cut that time out to take care of yourself. That way, as you get older, you're still able to play with your kids. You're still able to go out and have fun and do stuff. And you're not burdening your family by not being healthy. You're better off being healthy and having a little selfish time. And maybe you got to be a little more disciplined and wake up before they get up. Do what you have to do. Yeah. But you got to find the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's a big part of it, man.
It is. It's
finding
huge.
Time.
It is. I think it's a matter of perspective. A lot of people think working out or jiu-jitsu, whatever, is very vain and selfish. You're like, oh, you're just working out to look better so you can go in front of the mirror and flex. Like, no, man, that's not it. Like, there is a little selfish element to it, but I think the other elements kind of squash that selfish side of it. Just because you're better, man. You feel better mentally. Like you say, you're more present. You physically, you're better. Just everything. Yeah. You're going to be around for your family for a longer time, in theory.
Yeah.
Unless you get hit by a freaking bus or something.
Well, you
can't avoid that.
Can't avoid that.
Sometimes shit happens, but at least you were healthy when you got hit by that bus.
That's right, man. Left a good looking corpse. But that you're right, man. It's such a tough thing in today's society because we're so busy, and it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So most of us say yes to way too many things. And there's definitely a lot of parents that say yes to way too many things for their kids. Like that's the other thing you run into is, these parents trying to manufacture their kids' future, so they're in like all these different sports and they're learning to play an instrument and they're all these different things because they're trying to prep them for success, greatness down the road. They're gonna figure this out, and so that's their excuse is their kids. I've got so much time invested in helping my kid, and who's going to argue that? It's such a noble goal, right? Is your kids, but it's really not. Like honestly, a lot of times, if you really boil it down, a lot of it is selfish. A lot of it is parents living on some level a little vicariously through their kids. It's a lot of this is it's a comfortable box, right? Like I can't make these changes in my life because of my kids and what's going on, and so this is a comfortable box that limits what they can do, that they're comfortable in, they like to hang out in. And that's all it is, though, is like, no, your kid does not need to do fucking 5 after school activities, like they're fine. We didn't do all that, and we turned out reasonably fine. I mean, we're productive members of society. And so I think that it's a tough thing for parents in today's society, but if they really boil it down, they'll realize that it's kind of bullshit excuses and they need to be selfish for themselves some. There's good old, was it Ayn Rand? Wasn't that her whole thing? Just be selfish. Like, even like doing something nice. Like, I feel good when I donate to a charity. Like, do you really want to get down to it? Am I donating to the charity to do good, or am I donating to it because it makes me feel good when I do? So, I'm donating. It's a selfish reason that happens to benefit someone else. So, being selfish is not bad. It's how you deal with that selfishness. And so, just like that upside to your dark side, like that, motion of being selfish and looking out for yourself. It's only bad when you're purposefully like looking out for ways to squash other people. But a lot of times, you end up benefiting other people when you are selfish for yourself in some, respects. So there you go, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I enjoy doing jiu-jitsu. It's a selfish thing. I enjoy choking
but it's
people.
not.
I know. It benefits other people.
If everybody worries about themselves, everybody else will get better. Just like Pimenez told us.
Exactly, right? Like, but that's the ultimate form of being selfish. Yeah. It's like, man, I'm just worried about myself.
And that's going to make you better.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm not worried about you, right? Like, it doesn't mean it's just, like, I think that's the thing that people struggle with is, like, you can be selfish while being cognizant of other people and, empathetic to them as well. It doesn't mean that you're, just acting on that and you're not being, anyways, I don't want to get too far into it. We're fucking going way down a psychology rabbit hole here. I've been ranting on steroids and
I like it.
Now this. So, but anyways,
all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Train. Don't be selfish, but don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
The next one I have is, I see this a lot. Don't overcommit. So you get those, we've all heard it and seen it. Get somebody coming back after a long layoff, and they're like, "That's it. I'm getting back in here. I'm training fucking 6 times a day. We're doing this." And like, no. Just we've kind of covered this, but it's very common.
We see it at like the blue belt promotion too. We talked about that.
We see this time and time again, man. Like, don't we even talked about this in like our goal setting episode. You know, like sometimes there's things you want to share with the world, and sometimes there's goals you want to keep to yourself. But dude, 99% of the time, whether it's a new person or someone coming back in, someone that's super zealous and like, I'm doing this, I want to do this, dude, it never follows through, man. It never follows. Just show up, shut up, and train.
Yeah.
Don't know, so.
Yeah. When you're talking about how much you're going to train and what you're going to do, that's usually a sign of how little you're actually doing.
That's not going to pan out.
No, yeah. So, no, I agree. Yeah, it's we all go through those periods where you're like, man, this is it. I'm going to focus on this. But yeah, it's keeping it realistic. It's sustainable. Like that's the thing that you got to keep in mind. Like whatever you're doing has to be sustainable. And so you may have a short period of time where you do train more, but that's unless you've suddenly become a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, that's probably not sustainable. And so that's the problem, is that when people don't have that kind of sustainable discipline that they fall back on, and they just try to like ramp things up, and then when it doesn't work, then they're like, oh, I fucked that up, and they just, quit or they get burned out. So yeah, that's definitely a big one, but it's time and place for it. But it's not like I'm getting back into it. That's not the time and place for it. For sure. I've got one here, just your other workouts. So again, kind of goes back to just keeping in mind that when you start doing jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have to make adjustments in the rest of your life. And so if you are doing some sort of other workouts, like if you were doing CrossFit, or you were doing strength training, or whatever, maybe doing mountain biking, playing another sport, or just participating in another sport, you're gonna have to make adjustments to that stuff. Or really what you need to do is realize, okay, what is the goal of my program? Like we've talked about this before. Like the goal is to keep the goal. And so, and it's the other thing I have to talk with people about is like, man, there's no right or wrong answer to this. Like when you tell me what's your goal, there's no right or wrong answer. Like if your goal is not to be the best jiu-jitsu guy you can be, and you want to be the best at some other sport, and jiu-jitsu is just kind of this hobby thing that you're doing, man, that's great. But you need to make sure that you're adjusting jiu-jitsu for this other sport. And same thing with jiu-jitsu. If you're getting into jiu-jitsu and you're like, man, I really want to focus on jiu-jitsu and I really want to get better at jiu-jitsu, well, then the whole goal of your program, which is everything that you're doing outside of jiu-jitsu, including other sports and activities, should be to help support that goal. The goal is to keep the goal. If the goal is to get better at jiu-jitsu, then you may have to make some adjustments with these other workouts. Like instead of working out 4 times a week doing strength training, you may cut back to 2. And instead of going out on a mountain bike ride 3 times a week, it may be 1 or 2. And so I think that's a thing. Again, people just trying to like fit jiu-jitsu, like saying yes to jiu-jitsu without realizing that they're gonna have to start saying no to some of these other things in their training program. Is a big mistake that I see people make, and they really burn themselves out because they're burning that candle at both ends. So kind of saw that with Brazilian Nick a little bit there, because when he first came to us, he was on a swimming scholarship, and so he was training a lot and he had to swim a lot, but he was really into jiu-jitsu and he wanted to get better at that, and so he was coming in training a bunch of jiu-jitsu and having to
swim at a college
level and do all of the training and all of that. Yeah. And it definitely caught up to him a little bit injury wise. He was hurting. I mean, he's a fucking early 20-year-old kid, like, had shoulders hurting him and all sorts of stuff. And so but when he, for whatever reason, focused more on colleges and swimming now, and now he's able to focus on the jiu-jitsu, like physically he's so much better. Like he's not suffering anywhere near the amount of injuries and stuff like that he was. So
you can't be great at everything.
Can't be great at everything, man.
Bottom line, I know we hate to admit it. We would like to be, in every activity we take up, we'd like to be freaking the best at it. But the reality of it is you can't. No one rides for free. There's sacrifices. Like you said, every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Whether you're going to have to. Whether you're aware of it or not, you may not be directly saying no to something else, but it's just the way it is. There's only so many hours in the day. You only have so much resources. Just your body. Bam! It's just.
Yeah.
And it's a hard lesson to learn.
It is a hard lesson to learn.
I think that's where people get these force breaks, and that's why we're doing this episode.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So, but yeah, no, making those adjustments with the other stuff is important for sure. So, yeah. Got any other? I got a few more here.
One, we've kind of covered it, but be patient with yourself. You know, we did touch on this. Like, you made it to blue or purple belt. You took some time off. You're coming back. You're not just going to be right back at the level you're at. And if you're not patient with yourself, it's going to be tough. You're going to get discouraged. You might quit again, or you're going to get hurt. Like, patience is a good virtue to have.
Yeah.
Man, we covered it already, but that was another one I had written down. So
yeah, no, I think that is huge, man. It's a big part, especially when you're getting back after that extended layoff.
Because you think you should be at a certain level.
Yeah.
And it's just not there.
No, So. It'll come back though. Like, that's the hard thing. Like, you're not learning something new. You're just relearning something you've forgotten, and you can learn something that you've forgotten so much faster than you learn something new. So, like I was saying earlier on, that process can't happen if you're trying too hard. You'll actually slow that reacquisition process down. So, just chilling out and letting it come back to you is definitely one of them. I got another one here. There's another Kiele suggestion, but I put a little caveat on it. Using a competition to help focus your training, which I think is kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that's what I would like to hear what you say on this. But anyways,
so but see, I think that there's a positive to it, right? Because there is a little bit of a, what am I doing this for? You know, just kind of going through the grind. And obviously there's something to that, the chopping wood and carrying water. Like, that should make up the bulk of it. And so, but when you set a date on a calendar, it does give your day a little bit more meaning. You're looking at that day and you're like, okay, I'm one day closer. Like, what did I eat today? Did I follow my stuff? And so it definitely helps focus your training. It definitely helps give you a reason to stay disciplined on your training. But I would say you got to be really careful about overusing that as your motivation to train. You know, if as soon as you're done with one competition, you're setting the date for that next competition, and unless you got a date circled on the calendar for a competition, you're just kind of like lost and like, why am I doing this? That's not it either. Like, that's not the right way to approach it, because, you know, one, we've talked about, like, focusing on competition results is just not the right way to go about your jiu-jitsu. And if you're competing a lot, it's kind of hard not to kind of think about how you're, you know, focus on those things a little bit. And two, like, what happens when you get hurt? Like, you know, what happens, and plus the level of training that you need to do to be prepared for competitions tends to lend itself to injuries a little bit more. Competitions themselves lend themselves to injuries more. And so you got to be careful, I think, with using that as your motivating factor. But I do think that if used properly, and as long as people understand that it's a double-edged sword that they're playing with, I do think that circling a date on the calendar can help you, you know, focus your training a little bit and maybe serve as that motivation to kind of get over that first hurdle and get the ball rolling. But yeah, I think that it's...
I agree with you that it is a double-edged sword, but the benefits to that are way, like, the negatives way outweigh it. I've seen that screw people so many times. So first of all, as soon as you're taking a physical hobby, like, I don't like calling jiu-jitsu a hobby, but say for you, jiu-jitsu is a hobby, and you start going into the competitive realm of it, the further you go down the competitive scale, the less healthy it becomes.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
Yep.
So the more competitive you try to get, the higher rate of injuries going on.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
So there's that. And if people don't respect that, just the universe is going to come in and make you respect that.
Yeah.
It's just going to fucking happen. The other thing is, I've seen that fail people way more times than I've seen it benefit somebody. If you're the type of person that needs a competition to motivate you to get on the mat, you're going to quit. If you can't just train because you love it, because you enjoy the challenge, you enjoy hanging out with the people at the gym, you enjoy getting better or getting beat up, like all these things that come along with it, if you need a competition to get you on the mat, you're going to quit, man.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it a billion fucking times since I've been doing jiu-jitsu. So, and then it's funny, it goes right into one of the ones I had written down is you have to remember why you do BJJ. Why are you doing it? And if it's for that date on the calendar, man, that's cool, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You're going to peter out.
No.
You know, it's just...
Yeah. I saw that all the time in mountain biking,
yeah,
man.
I see it all the time. Still to this day, there's people at our gym that come and go. And there's one guy in particular, I'm not going to put him on blast here, but I see him do this all the time, man. He gets fired up, does like one tournament a year, and then disappears, man. And then fires up, oh, I'm getting back into it. One tournament a year, oh, disappears, man. And it's so frustrating. And I've given up trying to like give him advice on it just because this dude ain't going to learn, man. Like, dude, you can't. It's not a sustainable thing to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
And if that's what's doing it for you, again, we're getting older. You know, we're talking to a lot of older people, I'm assuming, on this podcast. Man, the injuries go up, too. Because you got to train hard for a competition, man. You get dinged up. And that's just going to force you off the mat. Just, I don't know, like... If that's what's motivating you, man, you need to reevaluate. Yeah. Yeah, I really think that. I think it's important. It's fun to challenge yourself and do it. Like, I put the goal out there. I'm going to compete 4 times this year. But even if I was to take that goal away, I'm still going to train. Probably just as much. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of funny, though. I will say, like, when people are like, oh, I'm training for a competition, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing different?
What are you doing different?
Like, really, you shouldn't be doing anything different. Nope. Like, like you should,
there's not a lot of
there may be little like specific stuff here and there you're doing, or you're putting some harder rounds here and there, but like really like 95+% of your approach and energy level and focus and everything like that should be the exact same.
Well, and I think that's important to go to the point too is, you know, being a jiu-jitsu player, we've talked about, or whatever, jiu-jitsu guy, whatever you want to call us, jiu-jitsu people. You should never go through the like, I'm getting in really good shape, I'm just letting myself go. I'm getting in really good shape, I'm letting myself go. No, man, you always stay ready for battle. You're a fucking warrior 24/7. Yeah. You're always ready for battle. So whether you're training for a tournament, quote unquote, or you're just training, it doesn't matter. Yeah. If a coach came to you and said, hey man, this tournament popped up next week and you want to go train, you should be okay, cool.
Should be fine.
Maybe you're not at your peak, you know, as far as cardio, but you should be pretty good. Yeah. You know, that's the way I see it. When you say training for a tournament, it shouldn't be that much different.
I know.
I think when you say you're getting ready for a competition, in my eyes, I think what you're doing outside of the gym might train a little bit because it's a weight. You know, we're training for weight classes, so maybe you got to get your weight down a little bit.
Right. If anything, to me, that's when I'm training for a competition. It's the stuff off the mat that I'm dialing in more. Yeah, especially like the nutrition and things like that.
But as far as your time on the mat,
or just like the effort level,
the effort level. Because man, when we roll, we go at it.
Yeah,
and that's how jiu-jitsu should always be. Yeah, you know, it's like we're training hard. Yeah, you know, you're drilling, you're focused, you're recovering, you're stretching, you're doing all. And then all of a sudden you want to go do a tournament. What else is going to change? Not much else is going to change.
That's all your body knows. Yeah, that's what you want.
That's really how it should be.
How it should be. Yeah, I mean, again, going back to my favorite duty quote of all time, old Musashi. It's like how you fight is just an extension of how you train, and how you train is just an extension of how you live. I mean, the 3 things they're the same, and so when you try to make those separations, you get in trouble. But that is, I can see that when people are circling that date and all of a sudden they're doing things totally different. Because that's why I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you know, like I can see how that could kind of help because it would dial things in, you know, focus things a little bit. But now that you're talking about it more, I realize like that is kind of the approach that most people take, though, is like once they circle that date, all of a sudden they're taking this completely different approach to their jiu-jitsu, which that's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
If you're just in this like high and then low and high and then low mode all the time, it's that's not sustainable.
I've seen that screw so many people, and I think that's where you get a lot of people at the blue, purple belt level, you know, quitting, disappearing, taking this time off. It's because they focus on that.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, it's like in any other group. You know, you get into it and you are looking around and you're like, well, who are the people who get recognition? You know, and on some level, and a lot of times people competing, right? They come back and it's like, hey, you know, everybody so-and-so competed and did well, everybody give them a round of applause, or, they came back with a medal and it gets to hang up on the trophy wall or whatever. And so you start to kind of think, okay, if I want to move up in this culture, I want to emulate the people who are receiving praise and stuff, and the people who are competing a lot and doing well at competitions are the ones who seem to be receiving praise. So ipso facto, if I want to move up the ladder, then I need to be competing a lot and performing at that level. And so I see we actually we talked about this in a whole podcast about competition and how it can screw people up more than it can help them. And so, I agree. If you're not careful with it, man, it can definitely get you. Because, it's like, why are you competing? Right? And it's like, if you're competing to help your jiu-jitsu, then cool. Well, great. Yeah. But if you're competing because, you just kind of feel like that's what you need to do.
Because you want the recognition or something.
Yeah, you want the recognition, or, you kind of need the motivation to keep you on the mat. And it's like, well, that's not
missing the point.
Missing the point a little bit there. So, anyways, that's a suggestion with a caveat. Make sure that you're using them for the right reasons if you are going to use them. So competitions can be, but be careful with them. And plus, I'd say, like, really for people starting out,
don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it, man. If you're a white belt, like, fuck, man, it's such a hard thing. Like, I would say a lot of people, man, if you try to do a competition within your first 6 months of starting, you run just as high a risk of frustrating yourself so badly that you consider quitting as you do getting something out of it that really helps your jiu-jitsu.
And unless you come from a grappling background.
Right. If you're a wrestler, exactly. Wrestler, if you're just talking like you're just, no.
Because what's going to happen? Well, I'll give you a quick story of what happened to me. Like, I didn't have a wrestling background. I got into jiu-jitsu. I went and competed like a month and a half after starting jiu-jitsu.
You're a different animal, man.
A month and a half. And, dude, I got fucking mollywopped. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing. I just got manhandled. But, dude, that fired me up. Right away, man. I remember getting off the mat. Like, dude, when's the next tournament? I'm training. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I was back on the mat the next day after that tournament, like, training. And so, but it could really screw you up and take it the other way. Like, if you train for a month and you want to go compete and you just get your fucking ass whooped.
Oh, it's just super frustrating. You got some dude who's got a wrestling background just on top of you, pinning you, and you don't know what to do.
It's not going to work out for you most of the time.
Or you freak out and get hurt.
Yep.
I mean, dude, we've seen, it's an unfortunate cycle that can happen, but... So anyways, there you go. So we'll stop beating that.
All right, I think that covers pretty much everything.
I got one more thing on here, brother.
Go for it, man.
One more thing. Listen to the Grumpy Guy BJJ podcast every week.
Every week.
That will help your jiu-jitsu.
Very important.
Hopefully help your motivation to keep at it. And that's our goal. So, but that was my last note I wrote down.
I like that.
That would give us a little shameless plug.
That is the gold in this whole episode right there.
There you go. Almost 2 hours just to get to that right there.
Fast forward to the minute 56 mark and listen to why you should.
Hour 56?
Yeah. Is that what I said?
You said minute 56.
Oh, hour 56.
Yeah. We're just on the yo at a minute 56. We're a long way from the yo, bro.
We are a long way away from that.
So, that's
I think the biggest takeaway from all that is, and it's in our 10 mistakes list. We talked about it. We said it a million times in this conversation, is don't separate the two, man. Being better at jiu-jitsu is going to help you better in your life, and being better in life is going to help you at your jiu-jitsu. It's just a circle, man. It's not just a sport. It's not just being better at basketball and throwing a ball through a hoop. It's not. It's everything.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you can't separate the two. If you really like it or love it as much as we do, you're not going to separate the two.
No, yeah.
So it's...
No, man, I agree. Yeah, if you approach it the right way, you're going to kind of figure out how to blend it into your life rather than just add it on.
Yeah, it's not just an add-on kind of flickering over here. It's, like I've said it before, is almost every decision I make, I always run it through a jiu-jitsu filter. Like, is this going to help my jiu-jitsu or is this going to hurt my jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
And if whatever decision I'm making, if it's flailing to the side of hurting my jiu-jitsu, I'm like, all right, why? And okay, do I have to do this or
Yeah.
do I need to
It doesn't necessarily mean you don't do it, but it's like, you're cognizant of it. And that's, I think that's the goal, is to kind of just get that habit where, and it's good, man. You know, what's going to help you in jiu-jitsu is going to make you a healthier, better person.
Happier person.
You know, fucking eating hamburgers and drinking soda and smoking cigarettes certainly ain't going to help your jiu-jitsu. So, it all helps each other, man. Yep. So, all right, cool. We're going to wrap it up. I think that's it for this episode. Just the usual outro stuff. You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio.
I'm still working on Spotify. Those Nazis over at Spotify.
Well, them and YouTube have been talking. They're like, yo, man, you want to watch these grumpy guys? We've had to kick them off. Ban a couple of their videos.
And I said this before, but man, if there's any other platforms you guys really like to listen to podcasts on, and we're not there yet, do shoot us a message. Yeah, and I'll find a way to get us on there somehow or another. On there. So, leave a review, rating, all that stuff's greatly appreciated. Give us a follow. Can find us online at grumpyguybjj.com. We've got our BJJ Improvement Starter Kit that you can sign up for. Like we were talking about at the beginning, you get your workout, you get your side control basics workshop, and you get your top 10 BJJ mistakes. So again, great things to start off with if you're getting back into it. And yeah, man, I think that's it, brother.
I think that's about it. So, all right, well, we're going to get going, and I guess we'll talk to everybody next week.
See you.
All right.
Peace.